it's Mondays with Mikey and Murf. We talking Raiders and football dirt. Cause we a new Raiders talk show. We having good times, let's go. It's Mondays with Mike and Murf. So, yo Murf, what we gonna do? Congratulations, it's episode 2. We're gonna party all day and talk football. Everybody knows I'm gonna talk a lot. I'm gonna say a lot. You're gonna give us info and the dirt a lot. We're gonna have a good time. We should sip on the wine, but it doesn't matter, I can't rap. It's Mondays with Mike and Murf. We having good times, talking Raiders and football dirt. Cause it's a new Raiders type talk show. We having good times, let's go. It's Mondays with Mike and Murf. Oh, what's good, Raider Nation? We are on Air Nation. This is episode 2 of Mondays with Mike and Murf. I am Mikey Raider, your co-host that makes no sense, is full of nonsense, and has no sense in terms of financial money at this moment in my life. What's up? Who are you?
My name is Murf. I co-host a little podcast called Raiders Fan Radio that you can find on any fantastic podcast network like iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us. You can find Raiders Fan Radio. Find myself, Murf, and my co-host, my Uncle Mosh. We talk Raiders all the time. We all love our Oakland Raiders, and we love to do what you and I do, Mikey, which is celebrate the beauty of Raider Nation here on Mondays with Mikey and Murf.
I'm really proud of you. You got like a podcast network.
And,
you know, give some quick insight into like how it's formed, you know, like, because I love it. You got some amazing podcasts and I love listening to it.
Well, thank you, Mikey. I appreciate you saying that. So our podcast network is called Murf's Fan Cave. And as of right now, there are 3 shows on Murf's Fan Cave. There's our flagship show, which is Raiders Fan Radio. Then there is the Fan Club Blitz with Splatterhead and Fitz. And that is a fan club show run by the guys that are the guys that run the New Jersey chapter of the Black Hole. The Black Hole is a real thing. It's a real fan club. It's nationwide. As they like to say, we're in your backyard. Anyway, so they get together as a fan and do community events and, of course, watch our Raiders. Chuck, who is Splatterhead, and his co-host Fitz, they host that show. And then the third one is Mondays with Mikey and Murf. So what I do is I take the audio version of this show and then I make a podcast out of it and post it up on our network. So again, under that Murf's Fan Cave umbrella, you got 3 shows. You got Raiders Fan Radio, the Fan Club Blitz, and Mondays with Mikey and Murf. And right now, that's about all I can handle. It's beautiful, man. I love it.
Dude, you and me are putting in a lot of work.
And
we're literally making no money doing this.
No, it costs money, actually. As a matter of fact, it cost me a lot of money to do those 3 shows. But you know what, though? It's all about the passion for the Oakland Raiders, and that's what I love. And it's, you know, some people spend money on golf, some people buy car parts, some people, you know, do whatever. You can do all kinds of stuff with your hobbies and your finances and your resources. I choose the podcast, and I love the Raiders, and so it's perfect. It's a perfect fit. It's a good outlet. So instead of out there doing silly things, I do this.
Well, I respect you, and I'm very proud to be co-hosting with you. We're both co-hosting, let's say, and I'm very proud to have you on this show because I lost my passion recently for whatever reasons, and it still hasn't completely come back, but at least I got this show to look forward to every Monday, regardless of what's going on legally with my channel and in my life. I just want to thank you all, and everybody check out there's links below to his Twitter, social media, my Twitter, social media, whatever. All his podcast links. Find him, listen to it in the car ride, going to work, whatever. You're amazing. Well, training camp.
Woohoo!
They got pads on, brother. They got pads on.
They got pads on, absolutely. And real quick, before we get too far away from it, thank you as well, man. This has been a fun endeavor. I've enjoyed our time. The feedback on it has been fantastic so far. And I look forward to seeing where this goes, man. This is a great show. Here's what I love about this show, Mikey. You hit it right off the bat. Training camp. This is going to be, for the folks that have listened to the other shows that we do in our network, this to me is the news show. You are absolutely in touch with the pulse of what is going on today in Raider Nation. And like you said, it starts off with training camp, and that is one of the things that I love about you, my man, is that you are on top of this stuff. You are topical, you are timely, and I can't wait to talk about training camp.
I just, beyond, other things, I got no life, no girlfriend, Murf. So podcasting, video casting, and YouTube has became my life. I'm trying to make it a job, but, we're struggling. Hey, who cares? This is the episode 2, the second week of the training camp special. Every Monday we will be here, and during the preseason and the season, we will having updates on each game after they happen on Sunday. And you guys can look forward to some good stuff. But let's get right into it. Last week's show ran really, really long, so we're trying to figure out the format, and we're getting good at it. But let's go right into it. Are you ready for the headlines, deadlines, breadlines? Are you going to pay rent, Murf?
Am I going to pay rent here on On-Air Nation? I will be glad to pay rent.
That's from a song from a Broadway musical called Rent, where they go, headlines, deadlines, blow my mind. And now this breadline, I'm not going to pay rent. So this is my introduction to the headline segment. So here we go. Let's get right into the headlines, deadlines, breadlines, blow my mind. No, I'm not going to pay rent. Bam!
Uncle Mosh will love that reference. He's a theater teacher, by the way. So the fact that you brought up a Rent reference, I know right now he's screaming at his earbuds or his phone or whatever, going, "Murf, you big dummy! Don't you understand?"
I'm a huge Broadway geek. I just love it. I just love musicals. I mean, whether on TV, movies, I just love them. All right, let's get right into it. Greg Papa, we touched base on it last week. You brought up the storyline that came out. I didn't have enough time to get it on the show, but we're going to listen to why Greg Papa, he officially explains his firing as the voice of the Raiders. So let's listen to that explanation of what officially happened between him and Mark Davis, and then we'll discuss it.
I got actually notified by the Raiders the first day that I was on vacation that Mark Bedane, the president of the club, texted me, "Hey, what are you doing later in the week? You want to get a drink?" I said, "Sure. What's up?" He said, "Well, we need to talk in person." I'm like, uh-oh. Last time he did that, it didn't go well. So we met the day after the 4th of July, and the 4th of July is Al Davis's birthday, and we shared a few glasses of wine, and then he got to the crux of it is, which we're not going to bring you back. And the reason this happened, I don't know what the Raiders are going to say on why they're not going to retain my services to broadcast their games anymore, but the genesis of my falling out of favor with this organization came in January 2015. It's when they were searching for a new head coach. Tony Sperano was the interim head coach, and by the way, rest in peace, Tony. He worked on both sides of the bay, a good man. The Dennis Allen, Tony Sperano year before they hired Jack Del Rio, Mark Davis and the Raider hierarchy chose to interview Mike Shanahan to be the head coach of the Raiders. Well, I am extremely close and have been for my whole time with the Raiders with the patriarch of the Raiders, Al Davis. And there are 3 men that he loathed more than any: Pete Rozelle, Marcus Allen, and Mike Shanahan. And I'm not sure what order I'd put him in. Probably Pete Rozelle would be number 1. The other 2 could tie for second. So I was kind of cornered. I knew the interview occurred about a week and a half before, but 15 minutes one day before my radio show, it became public. And so I was compelled to talk about it. There were a couple of former players that were on that day that kind of cornered me in, and I gave a speech, and I firmly believe it, that Mike Shanahan cannot coach the Oakland Raiders. I threatened to quit, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, Mark Bedane, this is going back 2015, sought me out and said, you got to make this better with the owner. He's not happy. We had dinner one night, me and Mark Bedane. So I called the owner the next day. And I don't know what he wanted me to do. If he wanted me to apologize, I wasn't sorry. I was sorry the way he took it. I was sorry the way he interpreted it, but I was not sorry defending his father. And I felt that way. The call did not go well. He wound up hanging up on me. He took me off a couple of Raider-related programming that year, and I thought that was the end of it. And with John Gruden coming back to coach the team, I thought my relationship with the team would actually grow. And it was talked about early in the offseason, but it went the other way. So I'm going to be fine. It's sad for me, and I've known this since July 2nd, July 5th, and now it's the 23rd. I was going to come back today and release all this information to people. We were able to keep it quiet for about 2 weeks, but social media, the way the world is now, I'm proud. I almost got it all the way through there. So eventually it did leak out. So the bottom line is this was an act of vengeance. of the owner of the team to remove me as the voice of the team. He owns the team, and that's the choice he made. They will move on, and I will move on.
Wow. Act of vengeance, Mikey.
Act of vengeance. You know, he did it in a classy way. You know, like talking about what Mark Davis or what he felt Mark Davis did. But then he added those 3 words, act of vengeance. That's like from, a Death Wish movie, a vengeance act.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is that I heard it the very first time he told that story was on 95.7 The Game when he finally rejoined after being on that vacation. It was last Monday, right? It was a week ago today. And so it's very interesting that, act of vengeance was not used the first time he described it. Now here he is. How many times has he told this story up to when this was recorded? So this is very methodical. This is thought out. This didn't just come getting blurted out. This was, there's a little bit of bad blood that, obviously it was there already. Now it's starting to sour even further. That's quite strong language from somebody that's a professional broadcaster, don't you think?
Correct. And he did it on the exact show when he called out Mark Davis for the Mike Shanahan meeting at the same time. So that bitter bug has definitely kept creeping and biting Greg Papa.
Yeah, we talked about it pretty extensively last week. I think that, it's definitely worth visiting the story again based on the language that was used here. But, my thoughts on it really haven't changed much other than, look, things changed. It's time to move on. There is a new path to be defined.
The timing, though. Again, we found out on July 5th, but it was labeled a couple weeks earlier, according to Greg Papa.
I don't think the timing was all that plotted out. This is probably a lot of
spur of the moment.
Yeah.
That was definitely spur of the moment. And that's a great segue to our next topic. In a spur of the moment broadcast where I try to make videos or instantly react, once I found out Brent Musburger was the host and Greg Papa was fired, I made a quick reaction video. But here's the problem. We talked about Bill Musgrave all offseason last year when he went to the Chargers, and his name is BM. Bill Musgrave. All right, Brent Musburger is very similar in a brain like mine. So I made an instant reaction about Brent Musburger and Greg Papa being fired, even with the news report on screen saying Brent Musburger is now the new Raiders legendary voice of the team. I kept calling him Bill Musgrave. And Greg Papa came off his vacation, and then they talked about me on his show. They laughed at me. They had a good time. But Greg Papa saw my video, laughed, had a good time, and he gave me praise. And I'm proud as heck of it. And my mistake turned into a legend knowing who I am.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of that. You mind playing that clip?
There we go.
But Brent's done a good job through the years. But are we sure it's Brent Musburger? Because I'm hearing conflicting reports from other people.
So Bill Musgrave is now the new voice of the Raiders. Bill Musgrave lives in Vegas. It's a quick transition. Great announcer. Everything.
That's On Air Nation reporting that Bill Musgrave, the former Raiders offensive coordinator,
screwed up the Raiders offense that year. It was his fault that I didn't get to say touchdown Raiders, not mine.
Did Bill Musgrave ever say anything?
That was great. Of all the things I've seen online of this whole ordeal, that's the one that made me laugh the hardest. That was hilarious. And then he went on and on about it. Then they had a news report came in. Brent Musburger, the legendary broadcaster, is the new voice of the Raiders, and he comes right on. Bill Musgrave. Have you seen that online?
That was my first time hearing that.
You got to play the whole thing.
And
I love the guy. He was so complimentary. I love you, but he went on and on.
Bill Musgrave, Raiders offensive coordinator.
He's offensive coordinator for numerous teams.
I guess he's never heard of Phyllis George or Irv Cross. Jimmy the Greek, huh? I guess that.
Yeah.
Good job, Mikey.
Hey, I'm proud. People would think that I was laughed at and made fun of, that I should get salty or bitter. I'm proud. That was Greg Papa. That was Greg Papa talking about me, and he said, I love the guy. I'm bowing for all the podcast listeners. I'm proud. So Murf, we getting famous, Murf.
Yeah, and I saw you got a bunch of hits on that video too. Getting the name out there on 95.7 The Game certainly sent people to YouTube. Yeah, good job.
I speak off the top of my head, and my brain garbles everything. So it is what it is. All right, how about you introduce the next segment?
Well, next up, kind of a hot topic. Khalil Mack and John Gruden supposedly have not spoken, and then John Gruden came back and I think he said, well, they spoke once when he first took control of the team. Well, guess what? From the time that he was hired to the time that till now, there really wasn't a lot of opportunity for these guys to speak. Number one, because Khalil Mack is holding out, which is on him. And number two, the coaches aren't allowed to interact with the players. They're basically it's a blackout period where they're not allowed to contact them. So basically, they do it through agents and through mutual acquaintances and through the facility, whatever, and whoever it is. The bottom line is this: is that the amount of opportunities are limited, and so. Yeah, I mean, look, the guy's holding out. The communication is not going to be great. Does that mean anything as far as how the contract negotiations are going to go? Is that going to influence Khalil Mack's dedication to the team? Is that going to influence at all his play? The answer to those questions are no, 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 and no. And these kinds of stories are the goofy things that we as fans and loose people in the media come up with to try to generate material because there's nothing else to talk about. So people come up with these goofy ass stories. It's just like the one with Calvin Johnson attended a Raiders practice. He's going to try to get out of his contract with the Lions and he's going to be a Raider. That thing had BS written all over it from the beginning, from the get-go, and everybody freaking ran from it, and they tried to make all these, insinuations and tried to blow it up into this big old story, and it's all one big giant pile of crap. And so is this story. It's a big giant pile of crap. It doesn't mean anything.
Again, some might say Gruden talks to everybody. Why not Khalil Mack? Why only once? We all know Gruden is an offensive-minded coach. He's proven that on the field, getting veterans to play defense because maybe he doesn't really want to work on the defense that much. He inherited a defensive team with Tampa Bay. Maybe he indirectly doesn't care that much about defense or defensive players, and now he's getting $100 million. And you said, just in the previous segment, if you don't get it done, you won't take the money. Well, then give Khalil Mack the money.
That's not up to Gruden.
If you won't get it done, you won't get the Mack deal done. Do you mean a Super Bowl or the Mack deal? You know what? Yeah, just give him the money. Figure it out. That's what I'm saying.
These are the kinds of stories that completely go away once the season starts. Once these guys, thankfully, they got in pads today. That will help. But this is the kind of stuff that just goes away. Again, this is just stuff that fans and irresponsible, frankly, members of the media come up with. It's alarming. You think it's bad in politics. It's awful in Raider Nation. People
Why
come up
not
with
speak to Khalil Mack? It's not that hard.
How do you
Call him in
know?
the middle of the
How
night.
do you know? But see, here's the thing. Nobody knows. Nobody hangs.
Play his soundbite. Play his soundbite. We'll talk.
Was that dramatic? Really? Consider what's drama. I mean, I've talked to Khalil. Those guys aren't always 100% accurate. I talked to Mac when I got the job. I just haven't had a lot of talk with him lately. Not much to talk about right now. Sorry.
What exactly? So, okay, all right. I talked to him. I haven't had an opportunity nor a reason to talk much to him until now, and that's it. And it got lately, and it got overblown. There you go. The end. Stick a pin in it, Raider Nation, and move on. This is a non-story right now. Derek Carr is on NFL Network in between his brother and Michael Robinson talking about training camp. That's a story. Let's focus on what's going on. You got me fired up. This is the problem with Raider Nation, and this is the problem with members of the media when there's nothing to talk about. They create nonsense for us to latch onto. This is stupid.
That's what we do.
This is
full of nonsense.
It's a non-story. It's a non. It's
Let me throw this
non-consequential.
at you.
It's non-consequential. It's non-consequential. It's goofy.
Well, this is consequential. He said he talked to him at least once, probably when he became the coach, whatever, that he said he hasn't had much chance to talk to him lately.
Yeah.
Well, think about that statement. In contract year, they need him to come into camp. Why the hell would you not
He's
talk
not
to him
negotiating the contract, Mikey.
He's a hype man. Call the player up at least once. Call right around training camp, the contract time.
He's not.
Call him up once. Call him up once and be like, come on, man.
He's got better stuff to do than to worry about a guy that's not in camp.
No.
John Gruden is going to worry about the guys that are in silver and black, in cleats, on the field. That's what he's worried about. All this other garbage is all for Reggie McKenzie and the front office people and the agents and all them to deal with. John Gruden is not going to worry about it, man. It's a non-story. This doesn't have anything to do with the team's play unless this is what us fans try to get worked up. It gets me worked up because other people get worked up about it. It's goofy.
If you were Khalil Mack, would you not like a personal phone call beyond all the agents, maybe in the middle of the night?
Khalil Mack is
with him
not
just calling. Well, with him at least calling Khalil Mack or texting him and saying, dude, I love you. We're trying to get this done. I want you in camp. I hope we can get you in camp, but I need you.
think that sentiment's clear. Every time there's a microphone in front of John Gruden, he says that, including today. We'd love to have him here, but it's not in my control.
But
I don't control.
Phone call, a personal heartfelt phone call goes a long way, Murph. It's like
not in a contract negotiation. It's a contract negotiation, Mikey. He's not going to get involved. He's not going to create.
Right.
He's not going to contact the player. It's not going to happen.
I want a personal phone call from John Chucky Gruden.
But you're too needy, and you're too needy. And if Khalil Mack needs that too, then he's too damn needy as well. Let's get past all this crap and play some football. Goodness gracious!
All right, let's move on.
Now we go. Speaking of sloppy freaking media people, are we going to the Colin Cowherd subject yet?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
Oh my gosh, there's another guy. I'm telling you, man, this stuff. This riles me up. If there's anything in sports that rile me up, it's freaking journalists and sloppy media reporting. And it does to me in real life too, if you can't tell I'm passionate about this. They make an actual living on telling us terrible stories and then getting us to get fired up and react about it. And from now on, the way I'm getting fired up is by ignoring them and rallying against them all. And here's an idea. Critically think your way through.
We're jumping segments. All the next one was who is the real OC, because this is the Gruden segment.
This is a great topic. You want me to go first? Or you want to go? I'm sorry.
I'm
going a little lather over here, Mikey.
Yeah, this is the Gruden segment. So who do you think is the real OC?
John.
Because what's his name? Greg Olsen, in his first press conferences a couple days ago, said literally, I wish I had that soundbite, but I didn't put in the work. He literally said, I'm just here to coach the quarterbacks. And that struck a nerve with me because he's the OC. Why would he make that statement? His whole career, he's mainly been a quarterback guru or coach, and then now he's the official OC, and then he made a statement, I'm just here to coach the quarterbacks. So who's the real OC, Murph?
John Gruden is, and I think that's great that Greg Olsen knows what his place is. I mean, John Gruden is a prolific play caller. He's an amazing offensive coordinator. He knows how to build a scheme, and he knows how to build not only a scheme as a whole, but how to mold it around the talent that you have that exists in the building. And he's not going to be pigeonholed like so many other of our offensive coordinators have been, where they have this arrogance about him. And I'm including Greg Olsen in this conversation, by the way, where they have this arrogance about him, where they want to take the personnel and fit them into their system instead of adopting a system to fit the talent that you have. Well, John Gruden is the kind of guy that's going to take his group of players and he's going to develop around what they do well. And when you hear him talk, including today, he talked about what they're going to do in the running game. He talked about what they're going to do in the passing game. And look, it's been widely reported that he's the guy that's going to be calling the plays on Sunday. So he is the offensive coordinator. Here's where Greg Olsen, though, carries value to the team, is that because John Gruden is going to be calling the plays and whatnot and developing these schemes, you can't do all that and be a head coach at the same time. You need help. You need people in the room. He's going to need somebody that's a good, educated, well-trained eye like Olsen to help him identify tendencies, to help him with you know what I mean, from the predictive aspect of the sport, the strategy part of it. That's what he's going to need help with, and that's what Greg Olsen is going to do just fine. Where Greg Olsen fell off for us was when he was calling plays. So I think this is a perfect mesh and really an opportunity to take advantage of both their strengths.
So who's calling the plays? You just said it. You said Greg Olsen didn't do good with play calling in Derek Carr's rookie year. So who's calling the plays this year?
Gruden. No, it's Gruden. That's
officially
done and done. Yeah, but Rappaport's reported
then why
that.
the hell would he leave the Rams? Why the hell would Greg Olsen leave the Rams if he's going to be like not the OC, not even play call? I don't get it. Is it a bump in pay? He knows Gruden's going to take control of the offense. It just looks like a step back instead of, financially.
I don't know. I mean, not all coaches' goals are to be head coaches in the league, but I would say a majority of them, their goal is to be a head coach. And frankly, some are better at being coordinators than they ever would be as a head coach. Look at Norv Turner. Norv Turner is a fantastic offensive coordinator, and he's a trash head coach. And he's proved that everywhere he's been. So, so we don't know. I don't know Greg Olsen. I don't know if he aspires to be a head coach, but I'm sure whether he does or doesn't, that comes into play. Do you want to work for John Gruden or do you want to work for Sean McVay? I've not had dinner with either one of them, but if I had to pick, give me Chucky. Like, that just seems like a better working environment. Seems like he'd be a better boss.
I also feel that maybe Gruden brought Greg Olsen on knowing that he can work with Derek Carr, because Derek Carr has regressed the previous couple of seasons, and he doesn't throw the ball deep as much. Derek Carr, according to an NFL report, had one of the worst averages of passes. I think it was like under 6.8 yards or around 6.8 yards a pass in his entire career in terms of averages. And Derek Carr with Greg Olsen in his rookie season, in that Seattle preseason game, man, he took it to them with Bryce Butler, and he took it to them deep, and he became the starter, and he had one hell of a rookie season. Whether stat-wise it was the best, but I think John Gruden hired Greg Olsen to bring Derek Carr back to the basics. And so I think it's a good move. I just want to know who the real OC is. Will the real OC please stand up? Please stand up. It's Gruden's team. And now that brings me to this. Gruden has been in the Monday Night Football booth for about 10 seasons. And he talks a lot about Bill Belichick and the Patriot way. And he has talked in the media that he wants an official Raider way of doing things. The Khalil Mack holdout might be one of those ways of him solidifying his power on the team. Doesn't mean he doesn't want Mack. Doesn't mean he's not going to get him. It's just him showing we're not going to overpay. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. It's my way or the highway. And he's controlling the team from every aspect. He got rid of Crabtree, got rid of other players, and he might get rid of Penn this season. But it's the Raider way. And do you think he's going to try to mimic the Patriots? Try to be a clone of Bill Belichick and the Patriots? I'm a little nervous that he's going to try too hard.
Yeah,
and he might fail.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that, yes, but I don't think in relation directly to Belichick. I think that's what these guys ultimately, for the ones that do aspire to be head coaches and to have that control and that power in the organization, that's ultimately what they're striving for. And Bill didn't invent that. I mean, you think about back to Bill Parcells. He famously said, if I'm going to be the one expected to cook dinner, I want to shop for the groceries. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's lots of head coaches that have aspired to be more than that and are hybrid GMs or GMs exclusively. So, I don't think that John Gruden is trying to model himself in particular after Bill Belichick. But I will say this: if he's using anybody as an example, I'm glad he picked that guy. Because, that guy's got a whole bunch of Super Bowl rings, 2 with the Giants and then 5 with the Patriots. So that dude's got 7 Super Bowl rings. That's 7 more than I got. That's 6 more than Gruden has. So if he's going to
20 years.
Yeah. So if he's going to model it after somebody, That's all. Why not, man? You know, we get hung up on the Patriots because we're Raider fans and we're supposed to hate them, and I get all that, and I'm not a Patriot apologist by any means, but understand this though, Raider Nation. If you're going to have your players follow an example that's currently in the NFL, who else do you want them to try an example from? The Patriots, right? I hate to say this too, but the Steelers, like Mike Tomlin's a heck of a head coach. The Rooneys are a heck of a family to run an organization. Like, if you're going to model somebody, that's probably a pretty good example to go with. So, I mean, there's a handful of these. So if Gruden is somehow emulating what the Patriot structure is, well, so what? Okay. Does it create wins? That's all I care about. Give us W's. I want John to have all that bling on his fingers too, just like Bill has. Who cares, right?
But then in a backward statement, if he does emulate the Patriots, then is it truly the Raider way or is it the Patriot way?
Well, the Raider way has sucked for the past 15 years, so let's not get that twisted. Look,
he created a Raider way in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I want him to go back to that. But again, with winning by watching the Patriots in the media, I'm afraid he might try to do a little bit of their stuff too much to the Raiders' detriment. All right, let's play the call-in coward statement, and then we're gonna get mad.
All right. I'm just gonna say I got a little frustrated from it. I get fired up, Mikey. I love this stuff. I'm gonna try.
Follow the script, Murf.
I'm gonna find my Quan here. I'm gonna hope, because Colin Cowherd, if anybody will send me off the rails, man, it's this guy. He is a moron. Okay. No, I'll play it. Ready?
And I saw this story yesterday. John Gruden says, if I fail, I won't take the Raiders' money. If I can't get it done, I'm not going to take their money. And I thought, this thing has dumpster fire written all over it. They have a head coach that hasn't coached in a decade. They're the poorest franchise in the league. They're moving soon and haven't won a playoff game in 16 years. And in their division, they are not close to the Chargers and Chiefs in terms of overall talent. And this is going to be a mess, right? Like, we know that, right? I know there's a lot of Raider fans. This is not going to work, right? I love Derek Carr, but if I said before the year, I said there's one team that's got a star quarterback that's going to implode, you'd be like Oakland. Like, this thing has a chance to just be a powder keg. So I thought to myself, instead of the herd hierarchy, why don't we do the herd dumpster firearchy? These are the 10 teams in the NFL that I think have a chance to absolutely implode this year. It's got to be the Raiders. Doesn't it have to be the Raiders? John Gruden hasn't coached in a decade? If I take 2 weeks off, I'm rusty. Who can leave an industry for 10 years? Well, he was close to it. Yeah, I can listen to the radio. If I'm gone for 10 years, I'm not going to be very good on the radio. I don't know. I just don't see it working. Don't like the defense. They're moving. Poorest owner. Don't trust the ownership. Stadium issue. Do Gruden and the GM like each other? You'll see pictures on the internet they do. That doesn't mean anything. A snapshot doesn't mean anything. What's the working relationship? You heard grumbling toward the draft. There is my herd dumpster firearchy.
You want me to go first?
Yes, sir.
The dumpster fire is his damn show and his career. His takes, look, he is Skip Bayless. Like, he is the kind of guy that just creates stories for stories' sake. Like, what did he actually do here that was in any semblance of reporting or accurate? Like, there's nothing in that. It's all speculation. It's all opinion. So when you do that, you take away the ability, or you take away accountability, because you're just speculating. You're just throwing stuff out. Mikey, I love your bandana. Somebody prove me wrong. You can't. It's just, you're just throwing it out there, right? Like, it's to take these kinds of stances and to make these kinds of statements. It just proves to me that either one, he's got nothing else to talk about, or number two, he's trying to generate and elicit a response. And despite my volatility just a few minutes ago, I'm going to remain reserved on this one because he's an idiot. Colin Cowherd offers nothing of any value with these opinions. And when you're talking about, he is so famous for his little thing that he does when it comes to evaluating a football team. Now, it's been a long time since I listened to him. I haven't heard him on Fox, but I used to listen to him back when he was on ESPN. And he used to say all the time, you need 3 things in the NFL to win games. You got to have a coach, you got to have a quarterback, and you got to have a good owner. Well, you know what? The Raiders have an owner. You can criticize him all you want, but he has done things that have done nothing but raise the value of his football team, got him a new stadium, got a high-profile coach, and that, okay? So Mark Davis, you may not like what some of the things that Raiders are doing, but from a business perspective, from a football owner's perspective, he's doing a pretty freaking good job. Then you got a coach, you got a guy who is absolutely epitomizes what it is to be a head coach in the NFL. He's got a Super Bowl ring, and he's got a legacy with the team. Oh, and by the way, the last time we were any good with any consistency, that was the guy that was our coach. And then his third thing, you got to have a good quarterback. We have a first time in forever, we have a franchise quarterback. The first time we've drafted our franchise quarterback since Kenny freaking Stabler. So look, Colin Cowherd, if you want to evaluate the Raiders based on your own criteria you use to evaluate a football team, then we hit on all of those. At a minimum, we're hitting most of the way there on all three of those. And so to take that and then to now this is his overall take that the Raiders are a potential dumpster fire, that's stupid. Colin, your career is a dumpster fire.
Well said. Look, I won't go into much details, but let's just say this. Out of the 10 dumpster fire teams Colin Cowherd named, the Raiders were number 1. I can just name many other teams just from looking at the stats or what's going on that are completely worse than the Raiders. Cleveland Browns, New York Jets, just to name a couple. Where the hell does Colin Cowherd think because we got a new coach, the team is moving, the defense didn't play so well, where the hell does that translate to the field? And then he predicted us a week or two ago to be 5-11. We were what, 6-10, 7-9 last year? I mean, we can't even get the same amount of wins last year with Todd Downing as our offensive coordinator. I mean, now we got at least Greg Olsen, who works good with Derek Carr. We got Gruden, who's going to fire up the team in the first year. We can't even get 6 wins, according to you, Colin Cowherd. We're the dumpster fire? In summary, the dumpster fire is your opinion, and that is the dumpster fire. And we are moving on. But Colin Cowherd, my opinions are pretty bad. But you won the prize, my dude. Okay. Next. Oh, yeah, this is a little added story. Raiders linebacker Tahir Whitehead, who got injured and was on the sidelines, called out Dak Prescott because the Cowboys owner, to give you a little storyline, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said, ain't no Dallas Cowboys not going to stand for the national anthem. We the good old boys, we're all going to stand for the national anthem. And then Dak Prescott in the press said, yeah, we should always stand, and I'll always stand, or whatever. You know, he's sucking up to the boss. But then Tahir Whitehead said to Dak Prescott on Twitter, he goes, sounds like Dak don't want to lose that Campbell's Chunky Soup deal. Because Dak Prescott signed, I think, a 4-year deal with Campbell's Chunky Soup to be the spokesperson. And they don't want to piss off middle America by not standing or protesting or whatever the hell it is. So Raiders linebacker called him out. Do you have a problem with this, Murf?
With Whitehead or with Prescott or both?
Well, let's not go into the anthem stuff because that's just a matrix type black hole that nobody can figure out.
Yeah.
Socially, tweeting wise, opinion wise, do you like this for the linebacker for the Raiders?
I mean, it's players and or people in the media, people of high profile, we'll just say, have been misusing Twitter since its inception, and it continues to pick up momentum as far as its misuse. I mean, I feel bad, man. People lose jobs regularly by putting dumb stuff on Twitter. I mean, you see it all the time. And while a lot of those things that they say are egregious and frankly alarming that someone would be willing to not only have that opinion but then express it on social media, like that's an extra kind of ugly, so but the bottom line though is that they're putting this stuff out there. People are putting stuff out there that gets themselves in trouble. So what do I think about him putting this out there? You don't want to see it. I'd rather he didn't. I'd rather him not dip his toe in that water, especially since the Raiders and the Cowboys have nothing to do with one another other than Jerry Jones's reverence for Al Davis. But outside of that, it's not like a big rivalry. There's not any connectivity there. I don't know what connectivity there is between Whitehead and with Dak Prescott, but you know what I mean? Like, there's not anything as a fan or anything. What is the perception of this is not going to go well regardless. Like, there's nothing good that's going to come from this because all you're going to do is generate a negative response from somebody who falls on either side of the equation, you know? And you know, you never talk about another man's, you know, money. You never talk about him. You know, you don't talk about their family. You know, look, Dak can do whatever Dak wants to do. And, you know, I don't know if you remember that old Chappelle skit. You remember that when Keeping It Real goes wrong? You know what I mean? Like, look, if he's trying to do something to try to not get into any hot water with a sponsor or his boss in order to continue to make money and continue to have a platform in order to then do something with that, why would you know what I mean? Like, so he's got a little bit of self-preservation going on, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, and I won't go any further because I know that it's when we get into the murky waters as far as the anthem stuff goes. But the bottom line is that Dak's his own man. Leave Dak alone. Like, there's no good at commenting on this. And look, I got your back, Whitehead. I mean, you're a Raider, man, and you know, so I'm not going to call him out, but I'm just saying maybe make a different choice. Like, let's not go there with that. There's enough going on with this stuff as it is. Let's not bring any additional Raider funk into it as well, you know?
Look, I hate social media. I hate Twitter. I hate the feeling that I have to post something, you know, beyond trying to sell people something. I can't stand it. Then there's times where, like, I feel like I need to express myself on social media. So it's like a thin sword. It's 50-50. It's like I love social media because I want to express myself. And then sometimes I don't want to, and I don't even want to write nothing. I don't want people to know anything about my life, or I don't want to give my opinions on other people. It's a weird thin sword, but I'm looking big picture. Apparently, I'm going to say that maybe John Gruden, whoever's controlling the team officially, they haven't spoken to the team about social media and give opinions or talking about money. And I just want the Raiders team to be a little bit better. Last year with Garyon Connolly's injury, we had some social media activity that nobody knew his injury. It just seemed like nobody was talking to each other, you know, trying to get on the same page. And if this is the Raider way, the Gruden way, you would think that they would have had a handle on it, especially at the beginning of training camp, but they didn't. But that being said, Gruden is a hype man. Maybe he wants this type of opinions online, or he wants the players to be themselves, whatever facet that means. So it's just an interesting subject. I don't know if they should crack down on players on social media or if Gruden should let them do their thing.
I think that where we're getting to in a hurry here, and this is part of a larger conversation, but when you have public figures, okay, whether they're entertainers, right, so musicians and actors and whatnot, or they're athletes, whatever, they have a public persona and they have a platform based on their popularity, right, based on their celebrity. They have a reach. So the organizations like the fact that their people, whether that be, again, entertainers or whatnot, or players in this case, have a reach. They like that because that promotes their brands. It can promote their whatever initiatives that they may have. Well, so where the double edge of the sword comes is that but they're not governed by a public relations department. They're not governed by an agent. They're not governed by that. So you have directors of movies or baseball players or football players or whoever making these statements, and there's no system of checks and balances in place. There's nobody sitting next to them going, that's not a good idea. Don't hit send on that one. Put the phone away. There's nobody telling these guys to do it. And I think what we're going to see, when this is what we're on the precipice of, is that we're going to see widespread social media policies put out by Lucasfilm, Disney, whatever record company the NFL, the individual teams, you're going to see overarching social media policies because look, people, again, they're losing jobs. And they're in a lot of cases, like I said too, the things that are getting exposed are ugly. They're nasty, awful, racist, misogynistic things that people say, and that it freaks you out that they would even say that stuff to begin with. But the bottom line is that if there were somebody from a business perspective, if there were somebody there to say, all right, let's go through your Twitter feed and see if there's anything dumb that you've written in here. Let's see if you quoted any rap lyrics or anything that people are going to perceive the wrong way or take offense to, and let's get rid of that stuff. That's what you're going to start to see, that there's going to be some self-imposed sanctions that are going to happen from companies. And so I know I've traveled down the bird path here, but that's what you're going to see. And so things like this, look, there wasn't a lot of harm in this statement, what Whitehead said, but like what you said, is this something that as the team,
the bigger picture,
is there a bigger picture? Do we want this? No, you really don't. You don't want this going on.
Correct. Again, social media and hatred is a virus and it's toxic. Heyo, this is the training camp, the main topic segment, where we will hopefully do a little bit of rapid fire, not as long as the headlines, because we like talking about the headlines, but we're going to get into some training camp questions on this training camp main topic episode. So let's get right into it, Murf. Now that you've had a few days in training camp to read the news, what's your biggest concern? It could be anything. It could be injuries to a player. What did I write down? It could be holdout. It could be a player.
Yeah.
It could be a topic. What is your biggest concern in general of training camp?
Gary and Conley. I mean, him getting injured again, and I think we're going to, probably that will be an overarching theme to a lot of our training camp discussion. But this was the guy that was supposedly looking great. Remember all that, Raider Nation? Let me do my finger quotes in your title where you can see it. He's looking great, right? When they were in shorts and caps, and now here it is, they're in pads, and he's conspicuously absent once again. I mean, obviously from a holdout perspective, you want to see Khalil Mack there, but we know what Khalil Mack is. We know what his capabilities are, and we are all pretty confident that no matter where you come out as far as your opinion on when he should sign and how much he should sign for and all that, at the end of the day, we all are pretty confident that one way or another he's going to be on the field week one. Gary and Conley, we don't know. And, last time that he had an injury that was going to be healed in a couple of weeks, it turned into this whole shin thing, and him, like you said earlier, going on social media claiming that he didn't even have shins, let alone to injure them. You know what I mean? And so, so here we are again, and he's got this hip injury, and they're talking about a couple of weeks, and he's going to, by far, he's my main concern because, man, we need corners. We look, the Worley's nice, Melvin's a nice addition, but we need a number one corner on this football team, and he's supposed to be the guy. So that's my biggest concern.
Camp standout. Murf, do you have a camp standout?
I do. Today during the broadcast, they were talking to Jordy Nelson. That was really cool to see him and Cooper on set together. And when Coach Gruden, when it was his turn, he discussed the performance of Cooper and Nelson, and he mentioned that Jordy can still run. They had a speedometer out there they had a radar gun or whatever, measuring the guys' speed, and Jordy was blazing down the field at 22 miles an hour. Now, I don't know if you've ever tracked and seen how fast these guys run when it comes to a mile per hour perspective, but I remember specifically them doing it one time when Reggie Bush was a member of the Saints and him running like 22.6 miles per hour. So if we're talking about Jordy Nelson being able to run at the same speed, or at least top-level speed, probably not with the same explosiveness, but certainly the same top-end speed as a Reggie Bush, a la, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, however long it was he played for the Saints, we'll take it. Like, come on with that, man. That's fantastic news. And, if we got a fast Jordy Nelson, Martavis Bryant, and Amari Cooper, whew, we're going to be blowing the tops off some defenses, Mikey. So that's pretty exciting to me that Jordy's got some legs under him still.
I live my life 1/4 mile at a time. Why? Because I'm fast and furious, and speed kills, according to the reports on Jordy Nelson. My camp standout, look, I could go with Colton Miller because he's being thrown into the fire. He's literally being thrown into the fire. But I'm going to say Arden Key.
Yes.
He's being thrown into the fire as well.
Good pick, Mikey.
Bruce Irvin is a standout, but, he's a veteran, and we all expected that from him. Arden Key, he's getting beat. He's learning lessons, but he's in there every down with the first string. So they want to know what Arden Key has, especially because of the Khalil Mack holdout. So I'm going to say my standout is Arden Key getting a big look, and he's had a couple of big plays according to what I've read. So I'm going to throw out Arden Key, brother. That's my camp standout.
I think that's a fantastic pick, and the reports so far from everyone, not just the media and the local guys, which, by the way, all that rallying cry I had against the media, the local guys don't do that. The Vic Tafers, Steve Corcoran, Jerry McDonald, those guys are amazing. And so by all those guys' reports, Arden Key is in Bruce Irvin's ear constantly, and in a good way. Like, he is all up in Bruce Irvin's influence. Like, and that's such a good thing because Bruce is willing to share. He's willing to bring the young fella along. And who else would you want him to learn from? Like, he's willing to learn. He's willing to take that instruction in that direction. Just amazing. I'm fired up for that one too, Mikey. That was a great pick with Arden Key.
Yeah, so far, thank you very much. Thank you for kissing my booty.
Thanks for agreeing with me.
Thanks for feeding my ego. All right. Do you have any surprise positional moves? Because there's been a few different players that are at different positions. Does any of them surprise you? Or
yeah, I saw where Marcus Gilchrist was taking snaps at nickel. That was a little surprising to me because he's, by definition, by title, he's a safety. And so I thought out of all the safeties, if anyone was going to slide down to a nickel, it would be Obi, because Obi has that skill set. He's, got that freakish speed and coverage ability. I would have thought that he would be the guy that would come down and either pick up the slot or a fast tight end, whatnot. I didn't expect to see that out of Gilchrist. So I know some of the reports were saying that it was Joseph and Reggie were your starting safeties, and then Gilchrist came in to play the nickel. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, is that because of the injury to Conley? I don't know, probably. That's why Worley is playing the other corner, and it's not Melvin and Conley, so it's now Melvin and Worley, and then Gilchrist is the nickel. But either way, that was a little bit surprising to me. I don't want to say alarming, not yet, because I don't know enough about Marcus Gilchrist to know how well he can cover playing up close to the line of scrimmage, but I guess we'll certainly find out if this continues on.
Definitely. Eric Harris also started at safety position a couple of times early on. But the teams are just learning, their teams. But by them putting them in the early days of training camp at a starting position means they think a lot of them on paper and they want to see it on the field. All right. My positional move that's a surprise to me is Mario Edwards Jr., especially with Khalil Mack being gone. You would think they would try him at defensive end, the position he was drafted at, the position he's supposed to make a name for himself on this team, but it hasn't happened. So now Gruden's got him at defensive tackle, and he's starting with the starters according to training camp, but they're getting a good look at Mario Edwards Jr. on the inside, because that spells doom for him on the outside. And if he doesn't come with it at defensive tackle, he's a camp cut candidate.
Ooh,
he's a bust property for Reggie McKenzie, if you look at it in that way.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't make the team as a defensive tackle, I don't see him making it as a third string defensive end, because they're starting him at camp at defensive tackle. That means they don't know where to go with him. And that's a scary thought going into the season. So that's my surprise position moves. Now let's get into who do you think the kick returner will be and the punt returner? Let's say in the preseason. Or let's say the start of the season. I don't know. Let's talk special teams.
Oh, well, I think they're going to be one and the same. I think that we potentially could see Ryan Switzer handling both duties. Now, I guess it will all depend on what his involvement is in the offense. I mean, the wide receiver room is pretty crowded, and it's crowded with a bunch of good players. I know that Raider Nation is fired up about Ryan Switzer, and I don't know if they're fired up because he's 5'9" and a white guy, and they think that he's going to be Wes Welker or Danny Amendola or who else? Who's the other one? Julian Edelman, or there was the Woodhead, Danny Woodhead. Like it seemed like the Patriots had the corner on all the 5'9" white guys to play slot receiver and running back for a while. So anyways, I don't know if the people are just fired up because they see that and they think that, oh, okay, well, maybe that's what this guy could be. maybe he can be. I don't know, and he'll do fine at it and be great at it. But all I know is that I'd rather see Jordy Nelson, Amari Cooper, and Martavis Bryant playing ahead of him. And remember that guy Seth Roberts we gave all that money to? That guy that won all those games for us a couple years? He's still on the team. So, Ryan.
They can't cut him. They can't. They can trade him, but if they cut him, we owe $4.5 million for Seth Roberts.
Yes, and we owe that if we trade him too. So he's got a lot of dead money around. So Roberts is not going anywhere by default, by notion of contract. He's not going anywhere.
Let me cut you off.
Okay.
I didn't read my statement. Anybody, who do you want? Again, not training camp.
All right.
Who do you want at kick returner?
I want Ryan Switzer.
Who do you want at punt returner?
Yeah, I want Ryan. I want Ryan Switzer both because I think that he's got the best hands. Okay, and he's got the most wiggle to him, right? He's going to have the best ability to return. So other than a high-profile wide receiver or somebody maybe in the secondary that we're not aware of, aside from that, he's going to have the most speed and the most potential for an explosive play on special teams. And because of his depth or his position on the depth chart and wide receiver, then the Raiders are going to be okay with putting him out there to do it. You're not going to put your top 3 wide receivers, one of those guys, out on special teams. So I think Switzer's the guy. And look, I feel like I pick a lot on Jalen Richard because he's had a lot of, miscues on special teams. But, we brought in Cordero Patterson last year to be the guy to put a shot in the arm of our special teams. And all we got was Jalen Richard fumbling the football. And I feel bad because Jalen Richard's one of those guys that's easy to root for. You see the grit, you see the want to in him, you see the work ethic, but it's just not working out the way that you need it to in the NFL. And sadly it's a tough thing and it's a competitive league and I just don't see him making it. And frankly, I don't think Washington probably is going to make it either. They're probably both going to get cut, and we'll get to the running back that the Raiders just signed here in the next segment. But anyway, so all that said, without those guys carrying that special teams value, with Switzer having value in special teams and him occupying a low spot on the wide receiver depth chart, I think that he's the guy we want. He's the guy we need, and if I'm wrong, I'm okay as long as the Raiders do something. Mikey, it has been way too long since Jacoby Ford and Johnny Lee Higgins and any of the guys that we had that were even a little bit of a glimpse of explosiveness on special teams. So just give us somebody to do something because it's been a long time, brother. We need somebody on special teams.
So, if I have my dream team of kick returner and punt returner, for kick returner, I want Martavis Bryant. I want to see what Martavis Bryant's got. Or a Jordy Nelson. Apparently speed kills, and he's been doing good. I want to see it. And then punt returner, I would want Ryan Switzer, and then I would possibly want Jordy Nelson at kick returner. I'd like to see it. I could also make the case for, kick returner for Martavis Bryant. But I'm going to put Jordy Nelson, kick returner, and punt returner Ryan Switzer, all Caucasian, white, special teams, Dallas Cowboy.
You're racist, Mikey.
I'm racist. Dallas Cowboy.
Put it on Twitter. Make it official.
Make it official. Make it official. That's why I wore the Karate Kid bandana today.
Oh, my gosh.
Because I was in the mood to fight.
Cobra Kai, baby.
I don't know if it's breaking news. Somebody wrote it on the forums, but they wrote, Vidal Alexander's been released. I don't know if that's fact or not. Very interesting. I just reading off the forums, so we're not even going to go there for now.
Well, I've got it.
There is a good possibility he could be released.
Well, he got that 4-game suspension looming, and out of all the reports out of training camp, he hasn't been taking any reps, and he can. So that's the thing. Even though you have a 4-game suspension on the horizon, much like Julian Edelman is right now, you can go practice with the team. You can go be part of everything in training camp, and all reports say that Vidal Alexander has not, and I'm watching it right now. I've got it on NFL Network, and so I'll see if anything pops up. I will alert you to it, but as of right now, nothing on the screen.
Yeah, and then, they signed a free agent offensive lineman as well. And so, I don't know. The writing could be on the wall for Vidal Alexander if that statement is true.
Makes sense.
We'll find out later. But speaking of free agents, we had a lot of injuries this season. Is there one free agent out there that the Raiders could afford or pick up that you could see? Maybe one or two, one on offense, one on defense, that you think they should go to the pool for, as you will?
Yeah, I'm going to go. Well, they just signed David Butler, running back from
James Butler.
James Butler. So he was UNLV in Iowa, I believe, and I think when he was at Nevada, not UNLV, it was University of Nevada, so that's Reno. So I believe when he was there, he had back-to-back 1,300-yard seasons. So, some potential there certainly. So that's a good thing, especially when we're talking about a running back room that has 2 potential cuts. And now with Marshawn and Doug Martin, guys that certainly aren't going to be around past most likely this year. So I think that was definitely a good signing for them. But the one that I like, here's the one that I'm hoping for.
Real quick, you think that was a good signing when there's players, veterans that Gruden loves available, like Adrian Peterson, Eddie Lacy, whether they suck or not? I'm just saying, why didn't they bring in a veteran? Why did they bring somebody who was at minicamp?
I think even Gruden understands his own bounds when it comes to signing veterans, and you've already got 2 30-year-old running backs. Like, do you really need another one? Like, I think that that's the, look, if you're going to, if you have 2 established backs, you have 2 proven backs, that they're most likely, and injury aside, going to be your week 1 starters. So this is the opportunity to then take a flyer on a guy. Take a flyer on somebody. Richard's got a calf strain or something like that. So he's not practicing. That's why they went out and got Butler. And so take a flyer on a guy. See what he's.
What about defense?
So defense. So here's what I like. All right. So here's where I'm pushing my chips in, and here's a move that I think the Raiders absolutely need to make. Rashad Breeland signed a big contract in the offseason, going from Washington over to, I believe it was the Carolina Panthers. And the only reason that he is not a Carolina Panther today is that he had an off-season injury to his foot. He cut his foot like water skiing or jet skiing or something like that, and he couldn't pass the physical. Okay, so and this to me is a goofy thing about the way contracts are structured in the league. They voided his contract, and the guy became then, once again, an unrestricted free agent. No one went after him because he couldn't pass the physical. Well, he couldn't pass the physical because he got a cut on his foot. Well, guess what? Your body heals itself. And unless you've cut off a few toes or done something, or done something drastic to your body you can't recover from, he only failed it because he had this existing injury that by all accounts was not like a major deforming or threatening type thing. So once he heals, he gains his mobility back. The guy's a starting corner. We saw what he did to our defense or to our offense last year. They didn't play defense. So the Raiders absolutely need to go get this guy before somebody else does. And it just blows my mind that teams get hung up on this type of stuff where it's kind of like Maurice Hurst and his heart thing. The thing that was an alarming to all the teams was a very common thing to show up on an EKG. There was, other than it being a heart-related issue, there's nothing alarming about it other than the word heart. Like, it's the same thing Star Lotulelei had, and now he's one of the best defensive tackles in the league. So you have a thing like a foot injury. You got cut because you were messing around on a jet ski. Well, go get him. Like, go get that guy. Like, what are we waiting for? Especially if there's any question to Conley. Like, man, we need corners. We need corners bad, and this guy's good. Go get him.
Exactly. All right. Well, I don't know. Gruden, go get him. Who's your all-time alumni, since it was alumni day? Who would be your all-time alumni to sit next to in training camp?
Living?
Alumni legacy
living, player. Like the guys.
Living, dead, Raider. Legend, Raider, doesn't matter, living or dead.
Oh, well, Stabler. I mean, that's absolutely, I would pick Kenny Stabler. I mean, he was my absolute hero growing up. He's the reason that I still love the number 12 and have worn it on every jersey I've ever worn, or for the most part. Kenny Stabler, I mean, you want to talk about stories and just, who epitomizes the Raiders, the Raider way, what it is to be a Raider, more so than Kenny Stabler. There's nobody else in my book. But as of the living guys, there's some amazing alumni. In fact, we're going to have Pete Koch, who's a Raider alumni. He was also Big Swede and Heartbreak Ridge. He's coming on our show next week. He'll be on Raiders Fan Radio. We're going to talk to Pete about this very gathering of alumni and look forward to hearing what he has to say about it. But, we saw LaMonica was there. We saw Phil Villapiano was there. We saw a lot of the Raider greats were there at this alumni gathering. But I wrote down 2 numbers on my sheet here because I was just thinking living Raiders, Mikey, and so I wrote down 75 and 24. I want to sit with Howie Long, and I want to sit with Charles Woodson, man. I think that...
Oh, I thought you meant beast mode.
No, he's not alumni yet. But I mean, I think both of those guys, you know, despite my fondness and love for the 70s Raiders and all they were just an amazingly unique football team for numerous reasons, and I'm not going to go on about them because I'll run the risk of talking for another hour. But despite my affection for those 70s Raiders, I think Howie and Charles Woodson, man, like that's some Raider royalty there, man. I mean, you're talking about guys that not only do they epitomize being Raiders, they epitomize what it is to be professionals. They epitomize what it is to be broadcasters. They look like they would be fun to hang out with. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I would love to kick it with Howie Long and Charles Woodson for sure.
My actual alumni to meet, well, you know, it's always been and always will be. Tim Brown's my favorite player, but I got to go with Al Davis. I don't know what would happen sitting next to Al Davis. I want to sit next to him, whether, you know, he pulls out a projector or, you know, he does a press conference and says, Jamarcus Russell is a great quarterback. I have proof on paper. You know, like I would just like to meet the man that created the team, the legacy. And I could throw John Madden up there. But you know what? I'm going to go with Al Davis. All right, speaking of hype men like John Madden, you know, they're playing music during training camp. And it got me to think, if you only had one song in your life that gets you hype, what song would you want played during your training camp, your workout? You know, if you only had one song, it could be metal, because I know you're into that stuff. It could be anything. What is your favorite hype song that just gets you like, yeah, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win championships. I'm gonna do big things. What's your number one hype song?
Wow. There's so many. So with that, instead of going through a big list, I will say this. I am a metal guy. I love Pantera. And the song Cowboys from Hell fires me up. The opening intro to that song is just, I mean, it doesn't get any better. Dimebag Darrell, God rest his soul, man. Just his opening riff of that song is amazing. And Philip Anselmo's vocal when he comes in, it's just like getting punched in the face. And so if anything is going to fire me up, that's going to be it. But I will throw one more out there to you. I think in relation to the Raiders and keeping it Raider themed, it's got to be AC/DC because they've adopted that nickname now with Amari Cooper and Derek Carr. And then so with AC/DC, you got to go Back in Black, and what epitomizes the Raiders than being back in black, man. So like, you know, and we know Gruden's a classic rock guy. So, you know, the personal fire up song for Murf, I'd say Cowboys from Hell. But let me go Back in Black though for the Raider related material there.
Ooh, AC/DC. Keeping it Raider related. AC/DC, Amari Cooper, Derek Carr. Hey, you know what song I like from AC/DC? We got big balls. We got big balls. Who's got the biggest balls of them all? But my best hype song, Jump Around.
Oh, yeah.
Jump around. Jump up and get down. I'm the cream of the crop.
I rise to the top.
I never eat the pig because the pig is a cop, or better yet, a Terminator on a Schwarzenegger. Like that song, walking onto the field wearing an actual football jersey and pads, because I only played 1 year. And to walk out and hear that song with the high school crowd, it's forever going to stay in my lore, and that's my number one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. One thing I don't like about metal or death metal, I went to a concert or a place called the Roxy out here in Hollywood where they have, you know, death metal bands or whatever. Yeah. And the guy recognized me. You're an actor. I love you. You want to come into the Roxy? You know, like, I'll give you VIP. I'm like, all right. So I walk in, the Roxy free VIP with a couple of friends. Then like 3 minutes later, the guy sees me coming out of the Roxy. He goes, oh, man, what happened? Aren't you going to stay? You know, I wanted to talk to you, get to know you. I'm a big fan. And then I said, he's like, why aren't you going to stay? I go, I'm tired of being yelled at. He's like, what? I go, the minute I walked in there, they were on stage. I was like, I'm being yelled at. I got to go.
So funny.
I thought that was funny. What's your expectations for the rest of training camp?
Well,
like, do you injuries? What's going on?
Yeah, let's get out of this thing clean. Let's get out with as few injuries as possible. And, you know, John Gruden said, I keep referring back to it today, but it just happened today. You know, he said, let's string some good days together. I just want to see the team continue to progress to trend upward. Like, let's get some good days together. Let's string some good days, some positive plays. Let's get those going together. Let's not have any regression. Regression is a scary thing. And when your team regresses, it is usually a sign of bad coaching. And that's exactly what we had last year. Was our team regressed. We took a major step back from the 2016 performance. So let's see the team string some good days together, and let's just get it going in the right direction heading into week 1. That's my expectation.
My simple expectations are for Colton Miller to be talked about more in the media and possibly become the starter day 1. And I'm really expecting Garyon Conley's situation to get worse and worse and worse because I just don't see any bright future. But that doesn't mean it won't happen. I hope it does, but I'm expecting the worst. Unfortunately, at most times, I expect the worst instead of the best. But I expect a good camp, and I can't wait for August 10th versus the Detroit Lions on Friday night. First preseason game for the Raiders. Friday night, I'm going to have some cocktails, some Bud Light with lime, and we're going to enjoy it. Those are my expectations, Murph. And now let's get into the fun segment. Raiders trivia.
The trivia.
The trivia. We're going to stump Murph. We're going to stump Murph.
I loved the reaction last week of in the chat. And unfortunately, I can't see the chat as we're doing the show, but I went back and read through a bunch of it. First off, thank you to all of you for your kind words. But I got a big kick out of everybody laughing at me not knowing what to do with my hands. I'm trying to keep them up here because I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to Google something.
Well, unfortunately, the trivia box that I bought, the 1986 Raiders trivia, apparently has trivia from NFL, not only the Raiders. So it's a weird box, but, it's what I got. But this week I decided to go online and try to find some more recent Raiders trivia. And you got multiple choice now, Murph. This is going to be multiple choice.
Okay, now, and then also, so in my defense last week, it was not your fault. But there were a few questions that creeped in there that were not Raider related. And here's the rub is that I think I could have got at least one of them for sure if I was thinking that it was more NFL as a whole and not Raider specific.
Always playing the victim. Like T.O., you're always playing the victim, Murph.
Hold on. I got to go do sit-ups in my driveway.
Well, let's just jump right into it. All right. I will read off the multiple choice. You might not be able to see it perfectly on screen. So I will read off the multiple choice. Then you give me your final answer. Okay. And we'll go from there. Okay. All right. This is Stump Murph Easy multiple choice.
No, it's not that easy. Come on now. I got to still get some street cred out of this.
This is fun.
Yes.
I did this when I was, coming up with the segment, and I got 2 wrong. So I expect you to do better than me, Murph.
Okay.
But let's see. All right, question number 1. What year was the Oakland Raiders franchise founded? We either got 1940, 1950, 1960, or 1970. 40, 50, 60, or 70. When was the Raiders franchise founded?
That would be 1960.
Final answer?
Yes.
Let's see. Bam! That's right. The Oakland Raiders franchise was founded in 1960. They were a charter member of the American Football League, which formed that year, and later merged with the NFL officially in 1970. Question number 2. You are 1 for 1. Sorry, who became the head coach of the Oakland Raiders in 1963? Was it John Madden, Art Shell, Don Shula, or Al Davis? Madden, Shell, Shula, or Davis became the Raiders coach in 1963.
That would be Alan Davis. Final answer.
Final, how did I become a millionaire? Final answer, according to Murph, is Alan Davis.
Alan Davis.
That's incorrect. His name is Al, but okay.
No, it is too. It's Alan, Allen. Check me on that.
I know, but according to the damn thing.
Oh, yeah. It says Al Davis. Yes.
Let's see if that's the correct answer. All right. Here we go. All right, you picked Al Davis. That is correct, Murph. Al Davis became the head coach of the Oakland Raiders in 1963. He took control of a team that had gone 9-33 in its first 3 seasons. Wow, we only won 3 games a season. And quickly turned them around, leading the Raiders to a 10-4 record in its first year. In the process, earning American Football League Coach of the Year honors. Allen Davis. You are now 2 for 2, Murf. Question number 3. Who did the Oakland Raiders trade to the Minnesota Vikings in 2005 for wide receiver Randy Moss? Kelechi Udeze, Jerry Porter, Napoleon Harris, or E.J. Henderson?
Well, I have to go by what's the word I'm looking for? By where you subtract things, then you come to a conclusion. It's not Jerry Porter. It's not Napoleon Harris. I don't think it's E.J. Henderson either. I'm pretty sure it's Kelechi Udeze.
Would you like to not call a friend?
No, I'll be okay. I don't think I'm running a risk on this one, but I feel pretty good about it. Kelechi Udeze. Final answer.
So the Raiders traded. Who did the Raiders trade to Minnesota for wide receiver Randy Moss? So you're saying Kelechi Udeze was traded for Randy Moss to the Vikings.
Yeah, I think that's
2005.
it. Yeah.
All right. Let's move it forward and see who that is. All right.
Napoleon Harris. I was wrong.
Is Napoleon Harris.
Wow, I don't remember that. Wow.
Correct. So that was wrong. I would have showed the video of it being wrong, but I cut it together with only the correct answers.
Wow.
So you were wrong. It wasn't Kelechi Udeze. It was Napoleon Harris. In 2005, the Oakland Raiders traded linebacker Napoleon Harris along with several draft picks to the Vikings in exchange for Randy Moss.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. Question number 4. You are now what was it? 2-1.
2-1.
Who was the first Oakland Raider to be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame? Is it George Blanda, Willie Brown, Jim Otto, or Gene Upshaw?
Gosh, bless it, man. This one I'm running risk on too, because I know it's one of 2 guys, but I'm trying to think. I'm gonna go with Jim Otto, but George Blanda might be sneaky in there. I can't remember, because you got to be out of the league for 5 years, and I think George Blanda would have overlapped too far. So I'm gonna go with my first instinct and go Jim Otto.
Jim Otto. Let's look for the correct answer. And the correct answer, the first inductee of the Raiders into the Hall of Fame was Jim Otto.
All right,
in 1980, Jim Otto became the first Oakland Raider to be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. Otto played center for the Raiders from 1960 through 1974, during which the Raiders won 7 division championships, 2 AFL championships. He played in 9 AFL All-Star games and the AFL/NFL merger in 3 Pro Bowls. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility, which probably made T.O. pretty damn mad. Question number 5 for Murf is, what city did the Oakland Raiders move to in 1982?
Well, if I don't get this one right, then I got to turn in my fan card. That would be.
Do I even need to name them?
No.
L.A., Las Vegas, Baltimore, or Maui? I don't even know why Maui is a choice. Could you imagine the Maui Raiders?
This is more of this is the ultimate layup. Los Angeles is the correct answer.
Los Angeles, I would have to agree with you, and I know it's correct. So let's not beat around the bush. Let's just click on Los Angeles. There it is. In 1982, the Oakland Raiders moved to Los Angeles, California, where they stayed for more than a decade before returning back to Oakland in 1995. Question number 6. You have now gotten 4 or 5 right. No, 4 right. Missed 1. Who was the first player to rack up more than 10,000 career receiving yards as an Oakland Raider? The first player to rack up more than 10,000 career receiving yards as an Oakland Raider. Biletnikoff, Tim Brown, Cliff Branch, or Marcus Allen?
All right, so deductive reasoning was the word the term I was trying to come up with earlier. So using deductive reasoning once again, it's not Marcus because he was a running back. Cliff Branch only had 2 1,000-yard seasons, I think, in his entire career, so it's not him. Tim Brown, however, had 1,000-yard seasons from like 1993 to like 2002. He had like a whole bunch of them. So I know Timmy's got 10,000 yards. I'm going to say it's Tim Brown because I don't think Freddie B got there. I don't think they used to pass enough back then, and he wasn't a deep threat anyways like Branch was. If somebody was going to get a lot of yards, it was typically going to be Branch. Fact check me on that one. But anyways, all that said, I'm going to go with Timmy Brown because I know he had a lot of 1,000-yard seasons in a row to rack up plenty more than 10,000.
But you got to read the question correctly. It says, as an Oakland Raider, I might differ to say Tim Brown got the 10,000 yards with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No, sir. No. He definitely, because he only played 1 year.
That was his 100 touchdowns.
Yes.
Against the Raiders.
See, yes. So he only played, 1 year, and no, he already had his yards before that. So it's got to be Tim.
Okay. All right, let's see. The final answer is Tim Brown was the first Oakland Raider to rack up more than 10,000 career receiving yards. He finished the Raiders' career with 1,070 receptions, and I believe he got the 1,000 reception with the Raiders, but he got the 99 or the 100 touchdown with the Bucks against the Raiders. But they have him listed as a Raider with only 99 touchdowns.
That's interesting.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So he also compiled 3,272 punt yards as a Raider. All right, Murph, you're good. You've only missed one so far. Let's go to question number 7. Who was the Oakland/Los Angeles Raiders starting quarterback from 1993 to 1996? This is around the time where I became officially a Raider for life, so I knew this answer. But who was the Raiders and LA Raiders starting quarterback from 93 through 96? Rich Gannon, Jim Plunkett, Jeff George, or Jeff Hostetler?
Well, this could be a little misleading because Jeff George was so good in the early 90s, but it wasn't as a Raider. The answer to this is the Hoss, Jeff Hostetler, number 15.
All right. I actually own a game-worn jersey. It was my first jersey ever that I got, and I got it at the game. Can you believe it?
Very cool.
Game-worn Jeff Hostetler jersey. I was a famous actor at the time. Got a little VIP treatment into the locker room,
Nice.
And I got a game-worn Jeff Hostetler jersey.
Hey, you're still
let's
famous.
See if that...
You're still famous around here, Mikey.
Oh, thank you. So let's see. That is the correct answer. Jeff Hostetler was the Oakland Raiders starting quarterback, or the LA Raiders, excuse me, from 93 to 96. During that time, he compiled 913 out of 1,561 passes for 11,122, 69 touchdowns, and 49 INTs. Thank you for the jersey, Jeff. You'll always be my starting Raider favorite player, until Tim Brown came along. All right. What Oakland Raider was named the NFL MVP in 2002? I might have gave it away accidentally already, but who was the Oakland Raiders MVP in 2002? Charlie Garner, Charles Woodson, Randy Moss, or Rich Gannon?
That is one former number 12, Rich Gannon.
Yeah, my video probably gave it away, unfortunately.
Well, I didn't see a video. I just, man, I know that one because that was just such an amazing year, such an amazingly dominant year for our offense. And sadly, we ran into the guy that invented that offense in the Super Bowl, and our dumbass coaches didn't change the game plan, and it cost Rich and us the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl sabotage. And I wish Gannon would have respected Tim Brown and Jerry Rice's accusations against Gruden and Bill Callahan. I wish Gannon would have really gave him the inside truth, but he didn't. He didn't want to lose his job as a broadcaster and whatever the situation is, but they didn't have Tim Brown's back or Jerry Rice's back, in my opinion. Oakland Raiders quarterback Rich Gannon was named the NFL MVP in 2002 season, in which he compiled 418 out of 618 for 4,689 yards, 26 touchdowns that season. Gannon led the Raiders to their 5th Super Bowl appearance that year, where they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am not going to talk about it. I'm moving on. Number 9. What Oakland Raider was named the MVP of Super Bowl 11? Was it Freddie Biletnikoff, Kenny the Snake Stabler, Clarence Davis, or Willie Brown? Old man Brown.
Well, there's a little bit confusing on this one. I like the direction that it takes with Willie Brown because he's so famously Old Man Willie. picking that pass off of Fran Tarkenton and then Tarkington and chugging down the sidelines to score for the defense. But the answer to this question.
Mighty Oakland Raiders. Every draft, the mighty Oakland
And,
Raiders.
and I like to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. I love
My
it when
mother
he
is
does that.
119 years old this year. My mother is 920
Yes.
years old this year.
Yes, I proudly got a Willie Brown autograph hanging right up here over my shoulder. I love Willie Brown. But the answer to this question, though, is Fred Biletnikoff.
All right. The Oakland Raiders MVP in Super Bowl 11 is Freddie B, who made 4 key receptions. He was named the MVP of Super Bowl 11. Other key players in that game were running back Clarence Davis, who rushed for 137 yards, and cornerback Willie Brown, who returned an interception, 75 yards for the game-clinching touchdown. And I believe that is the video. Oh, man, Willie returning that interception for a touchdown. All right, Murph, you've only missed one. Let's go for the 9 trick.
All right.
What is the longest play in Raiders history? Is it?
No, please clarify
80?
that because this is what's going to get me. The longest passing
Excuse me,
play.
I apologize.
Yes.
What is the longest passing play in Raiders history? Is it 89 yards, 93 yards, 97 yards, or 99 yards?
All right. I know that Terrell Pryor taking off from the 7-yard line is the longest. I'm pretty sure that's the longest from scrimmage play in Raiders history against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that 93-yard run, I'm pretty sure is the longest play from scrimmage. So I'm going to say there's only one play under that. And so being that the question is the longest passing play, I'm going to go with 89 yards, but I don't know what it is. This is a guess. I'm at risk on this one more other than the other question that I missed. This is the only other one I'm really not sure of, but I'm guessing by deductive reasoning that it's 89 yards.
I'm going to say it's 97, and it's possibly made by Freddie Biletnikoff. I don't know. I actually don't remember this answer. So let's go. Let's see if it's that Terrell Pryor. That's a good deduction. That was a it was a passing play that he ended up running on, right?
Well, yeah, but he never threw the ball, so it was a run. So it's still a run. Yeah.
All right, let's see. What is the longest passing play in Raiders history? 89, 93, 97, or 99? I'm saying 97. You're saying 89. It's 99 yards. Wow.
Then I guess that Pryor, I was wrong on this. So that Pryor play must be the longest run in Raiders history. And then here we are. Here's a pass play that's longer. Got me. You should think. I mean, the team's been around since 1960. You think the odds of them having a 99-yard play are pretty damn good.
Well, apparently this is what it was. On October 2nd, 1983, in that Super Bowl season, in a game against the Washington Redskins, Jim Plunkett completed a 99-yard touchdown pass to Cliff Branch. There it is, Murph.
8-2, man. I know that'll make the playoffs, but I was hoping for the undefeated season there.
That's not bad, baby. You know, you would have passed the test if you were in high school nowadays. Anything over 51% is passing, according to America's teachers nowadays. So you would have passed with flying colors. That would be like a B+ or an A-.
I guess I'll take it. I hope I don't have to surrender my fan card on that one. I'll take the B+.
Hey, I missed 2 as well in when I did it at home. So hey, we're both good. And next week it gets harder. It's gonna get harder.
Okay, all right. I'll study up. I need to study up then. Now that I know what the expectation level is.
Because this is called Stump Murph, and that's what we're trying to do. But today was kind of a fun, easy one for the Raider fans. All right, let's get into Raider fan calls. This show has been officially a little bit too long.
Yep, we got to go.
But we're going to end this. Let's get into a couple of Raider fan calls.
Okay.
You guys leave your questions for Mike or Murph after the show, and we'll get you on next week's show. First caller.
Hey, what's up, brother Mikey? Congratulations on the show. I've watched your first episode. My name is Big Earl, calling from Rhode Island. I just want to let you guys know that we bleed black and silver in New England. There's some of us out here who are true riders. So, therefore, my question is, Mikey, can Derek Carr throw a screen pass? Maybe give us a little bit of check downs, instead of, collecting all these sacks, going down, getting nervous inside the pocket. Is Gruden going to bring the best out of him? If so, I'd like to get your take on that question. And thanks for taking my call. All right, peace.
I'll go first. I believe Derek Carr will throw more than a screen pass this season, especially with Greg Olsen being the quarterback guru in his rookie season. I really think with Martavis Bryant, Jordy Nelson, Derek Carr is going to thread the needle this year, and I really think Gruden will bring out the best out of Derek Carr. Murph, give us your take.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to run a version of the West Coast offense, so check downs and dump offs and swings and bubble screens and all that stuff is going to be part of the offense. But I still think that there's a little bit of a gunslinger, not only in our quarterback, Derek Carr, but also in John Gruden. And we have plenty of talent, as I mentioned earlier, to blow the top off of a defense. And so we're going to see plenty of passes downfield. And I'm with the caller, man. We need it, man. We really need it. The protection's got to stand up, though. That's the thing, is that your protection has got to hold up long enough for those guys to make their way downfield. So all of those things depend on how good the line is, right? So we need consistency there.
I see Derek Carr going for over 4,000 yards this year. Hey, wishful thinking. Let's get to the next caller.
Mikey and Murf. This is Raider Base calling out of beautiful Upland, California. Murf, I am a big fan of your podcast, and Mikey, I am a big fan of your video cast here on YouTube. I just have a couple questions here. I know you guys think that the tackle position is pretty much going to come down to Donald Penn and Brandon Parker. I just want to throw out some guys out there and see what you guys think. Colton Miller, of course, David Sharpe, and Jalen Ware. Do you think any of these guys have a shot at actually starting at right tackle? And my other question is, as far as defensive tackle.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, there's two different questions, so you want to retort. Do I think Jalen Ware or David Sharpe will start? No. I think Brendo Giacomini or Brandon Parker might be the starters at the offensive line. What's your take, Murph?
Yeah, I want to say I read somewhere. Wasn't it Ware that got? Yeah, he didn't get cut, but there was something about him. I was just trying to see if I could find it real quick.
He might have been cut.
I want to say something happened with him. But anyways, but
he was released. He was released last season or something. He was released, and then they brought him back like a week or two later.
Okay, all right, yeah. So I don't think we're running any risk. But I think David Sharpe though is interesting, and I'm glad he brought him up. First off, thank you for the compliment on the shows. Frankly, I forget about David Sharpe a lot. I don't know how you forget about somebody who's like 7 feet 14 inches tall and weighs 500 pounds. I don't know how you forget about somebody like that, but I do, and I forget that this guy was a pretty awesome player at Florida, right? And so I just talked about the value of protecting Derek Carr and holding up for guys to make their way downfield. You have a player that's that large and that much of a skill set. You would think that he's got an opportunity to earn his way into the league, but so it just all depends on his mobility and whatnot. But yeah, he's certainly got the size and the skills to do it. So we might see David Sharpe. They drafted him knowing he was a little bit of a project. I think he even protected Del Rio's kid, right, in Florida. Like wasn't that the connection? And so they knew he was a little bit of a project, but they knew him, so they were willing to kind of take him in and teach him and see how he comes along. So being that the old regime was the one that was willing to take a flyer on him. If the new regime is going to give him any playing time, then he's gonna get it now, because they're not gonna let him stick around and as a lingering project, right? So if we're gonna see David Sharpe, we're gonna see David Sharpe soon. So glad the caller brought it up. That's a great name to drop.
Thank you for the call. Try to keep it to one question. Future callers, give us your name, where you're calling from, and either address Mikey or Murph or both, and give us one good question. Try to leave it under 30 seconds. Because, again, we're trying to learn the format of the show, and we're being a little bit too long. Let's go to the
Pretty soon we're gonna start running into Monday Night Football. We're gonna have a hard out no matter what, right? It's gonna be like, all right, it's kickoff. We gotta go.
Correct. Let's get to the last caller. Thank you for the phone call, my dude.
Hey, this is Alaska Raider, #1 fan. I just want to say you guys are doing a great show. The Mikey Murf show is great, and Mikey, you're doing good. Just want to say I appreciate you guys having this show, and, that's what's up. But one thing I want to rant about is that Nick Wright guy. The Nick Wright guy talking crap about
Colin Coward.
Oh, boy, Carr. That upsets me. Plus, Cow Turd, or Coward, or whatever his name is. And those guys are definitely Raider haters, and Carr is definitely an elite quarterback, 2-time, 2 Pro Bowls. I mean, come on now. All right, take care, keep it up.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, cow turd instead of cow herd.
Totally
I love
using
it.
That. I'm totally stealing that, by the way. That first off, thanks for representing. You said he was from Alaska. Did I hear that right? Like, way to hold it down for Raider Nation up there. That's amazing. And again, appreciate the compliment to the show. And yeah, man, like that's it's easily to dismiss it. You know what I mean? And I'm totally stealing that line.
We spoke about it a lot in the show earlier.
Yeah.
But Nick Wright is another co-announcer on that Fox Sports show, and he agreed with Colin Cowturd, and he went into Derek Carr even more, saying Derek Carr is just as good as his brother David and all this other stuff. So it not only went from Cowturd, it went to Nick Never Right on Fox Sports. So
nice.
There you go. So there you go. Thanks for the phone calls. Get your calls to Mikey and Murf. One question on the rant hotline. Number is below and above on screen. All right, let's try it. The last week's segment didn't work called, what the F happened. So, I don't know what happened.
I actually got some pretty good feedback about that. People thought Uncle Mosh loved your story. He was cracking up. We were watching I showed him the show yesterday before we recorded our episode of Raiders Fan Radio, and he was sitting on the couch rolling, man. He thought your story was funny. So
you mean my one-legged lover?
Yeah. Yeah, when you dropped, there was a lot of room to maneuver. He about fell over.
That's what happens when you got one leg. There's a lot of,
Oh, my gosh, you're too funny.
A lot of room to maneuver, to get
funny.
in positional accuracy, if you want to call it.
Oh, my gosh.
But, hey, I call this segment Mikey's Conspiracy Corner.
I love it.
My brain is, whether crazy, weird, unique, it doesn't stop thinking. I look at everything from different angles sometimes. And then clearly I cannot even tell the difference between Bill Musgrave and Brent Musburger with my brain half the time. So I'm going to accept who I am. So I present this segment where I'm going to ask Murf a question and try to change your thinking.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
What's your thought on the moon landing? Do you think it was faked?
Oh, my gosh. I think this is as real as Barrett Robbins taking off to Mexico the day before the Super Bowl. I think this is definitely real, although I'll give you a caveat to the story. I am of Sicilian and Irish descent, so I'm obviously Murphy is my last name, but we have a very Sicilian last name on the other side, and my Sicilian great-grandfather, who hailed from Palermo, Sicily, the great Tony Orlando, was dead set convinced the moon landing was fake. He watched it live with my family, and he rallied against the idea that anything like this was even remotely possible. And to the day that he passed away, sucking down red wine and eating pasta the whole way, he was convinced that the moon landing was a complete scam.
But you say no, correct?
No, it's real. Come on, I've seen Buzz Aldrin.
Okay. So there's a million questions we can get into. I can get into all the little clues in videos or pictures, but for the sake of timing and whatever, let's just push through this. But you say you believe it's real, and I'm just going to present this picture to you.
Okay.
Because I want your initial reaction, and I want you to look at this picture with, let's call it, your eyes. This is an official NASA photo that was released of the Apollo 12 lunar module called Intrepid landing on the moon.
Okay, so you're going to tell me that what's the chase vehicle that took the picture? Is that it?
Well, again, they presented this as the lunar lander. Again, they presented it. So that means it's possibly a lie. But the camera is from the moon's surface. Who put the camera there? The lunar lander is the first thing landing on the moon, according to them. It's the first thing. Nothing's been on the moon. How did the camera get there?
Well, the module, all right, the Intrepid backs away from the command module.
That's what it states
it's a
on there,
two-piece
but it's a lie.
thing. So you have this thing here, and then one drifts slowly away from the other, and as it's drifting away, this isn't taken from the surface. This is taken from just north of the surface, just above the surface, and that's where you get the picture. Oh, this is good.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, they presented it as many years ago. They presented it as the first thing landing on the moon. Then they backed away from their statement, and they said, no, it was the lunar module taking off from the moon. That way the camera was placed in that area to take the picture. And then you start wondering, well, do they have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth? Who developed the film? When they came back to the moon, did they, make the picture? But you're saying that you believe, according to what they're telling you now, their lie is that is the damn spaceship or module or whatever on the moon.
Yeah, not on it, but yeah, above it. So floating, separating and floating away from one another. Yes, that's what that
Then
is.
why the hell do they need a lunar module to land on the moon if they're that close already in the other ship?
Well, one
It just makes
they
no sense.
split apart and one stays up and then the other one drops down. Look, I'm not a rocket scientist here, Mikey. I'm just using logic. I tell you what, this is the one that you want to go to discussing on. I think Stevie Wonder can see.
That's funny. That is hilarious. We will leave
And
it at
I
that,
got
but
video
to me,
proof on that one.
I believe
I'll tell you
there's
what.
a lot of
I'll
videos-
tell you what. Next week, I got this segment. Save this one for me. I'm gonna prove to you that Stevie Wonder can see. He just called to say I love you, and he just dropped by because he drove himself over to your house.
And that is all we care to talk about, Murph. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I love you. Have a wonderful week
Love 'em
ahead,
all.
and football is back. And Murph, any shout outs, any closing segments that you want to give out there?
I'm proud to, again, be associated with this show. It's been nothing but fun, which is what football, guess what, is supposed to be all about. I've had nothing but fun talking about football, exchanging with you, Mikey, representing Raiders Fan Radio and Murph Fan Cave here on Air Nation. Again, look forward to the collaboration going forward. And, man, football's here, and that cures a lot of things that when you have actually games to watch and to discuss and talk about. So thank you to those of you that have supported what we've done so far. We love you and appreciate you, and we're going to keep them coming. So look forward to next week.
There you go. We got Raiders football officially coming up. We will finally delve into those preseason games. We're going to give our predictions, and we're going to discuss what happened on the field in those preseason games, because basically our training camp specials are over. This is pretty much training camp, the first 5 or 8 days. And we're going to get into some different topics moving forward. If you guys would like to suggest any topics, something you want to hear, please list it in the forums or call the rant hotline and we will discuss it. We are a new Raider type talk show. We're trying to be unique. We're trying to be different, and we're trying to change the effing game. Why? Because we can. We love you all, and we hope you stick with us, and we hope to build upon what we are building on, which is a new foundation on this channel. I'm Mikey Raider. I love you. He is Murph, and I'm going to sing the theme song because that's what I do. And we're going to get out of here. Woo! It's Mondays with Mikey and Murph. You can talk, Murph. Having good time talking Raiders and football dirt. Yo, cuz we a new Raiders talk show. We having good times. Let's go. It's Mondays with Mikey and Murph. So, we ran long, we did it again, but we're having fun with me and my friends. We're chilling out, talking football all day, and everybody knows Super Bowl one way. Not 1, not 2, but 3. Add a 4th Super Bowl, you see. I'm Mikey Raider, and he is Murph, and we're doing it all day on Raiders Turf. It's Monday with Mikey and Murph. We talking Raiders and football dirt. Yo, we a new Raiders talk show. We having good times. Let's go. It's Mondays with Mikey and Murph.